Shisgal itself was a real tzaddik. I remember at Levaya, Moshe said that he can't say about anybody, but he knows that Oidoy from the time was has a bar mitzvah, he never made a bracha without kavanah. And we used to see it in him when he used to come into shir. Before he started shir, he had gone to the bathroom and he made an asher yotzar with so much kavanah that it was amazing.
Before he said over something from his Rebbe, he looked at the Rebbe standing in front of him, and he's going into his Rebbe, make sure his angetan richtig, his hat is straight and his suit is straight. Was heißt, geht mit Kamel sein Rebbe. We're saying over a vote. Yireshu balashmu, I made a negdeg, so every time he said over something from Shleimer, he was ahead of his time.
He never come out daven in yeshiva because it was too long, but he once davened mincha. The Shemoneh Esrei took him about 40 minutes, and when he finished, he was soaked. That's how he davened Shemoneh Esrei.
He was 10 years a Rebbe in Tervadas. I think he started at the age of 21 or 22. And then he was 10 years in Be'er Shmuel. He was Oshiva in Be'er Shmuel for 10 years in Borough Park. And then he was 10 years by Moshe. 30 years he was Ma'abis Torah.
He was orangutan and learning all the time. I remember so many times there's a famous picture where he's sitting with his little Gemara next to Rav Moshe at a Malkor at a dinner. But I used to see him all the time when he used to take the bus to these sides. He would stand under the street light and learn from that little Gemara. I saw it more than once.
He used to travel with a little Gemara. He had a little Gemara that's like about 4 volumes make up the Shas. So each little Gemara must have had about 6, 7 Seftas. So he used to travel with that all the time. And a Rabbi Kiva Ega he had very often. So I choshev by him Rabbi Kiva Ega. And also Pshat inside. Not all the Lumdis. He was much more interested in Pshat inside. That's how he learned. Doesn't matter what age. That's how he learned to what age Talmidim he had. Because when he had Beis Medrash after Be'er Shmuel, he went to Tferish Yerushalayim in Manhattan. And after he went to Yeshiva Staten Island. And there he had Beis Medrash. And still, he gave the shir the same. I went sometimes. It was the same thing. Bifnim.
He didn't let anyone drive him. Baruch Hashem, I broke through that. And he wouldn't let anyone do my taiva. But then I became very close, so I practically saw him practically every day. I spoke to him every day for sure. If not, I would go to see him.
His godless was in teaching us how to learn.
He didn't just say a shir. He wanted everyone to participate.
His derech halimud was that he learned every Gemara inside and Tosfos, Rashi, Tosfos, and he was bothered. He used to say that why in some yeshivas do they skip this blot and this blot because Haggadah when everything in Torah is chashuv.
It doesn't matter if you have Torah, you have Torah. The main thing is to understand the Shtikal Gemara, and that he was different than everybody else.
When we learned Masechta Gittin, we sat around the table and we all had to prepare. We all had to make a laning. It's not like today's generation. And then everybody had to close the Gemara, and the Rishidi will point us out. Nu zokt. You had to say over the Gemara Bal Peh. And next. That was your preparation. Then he would learn the Gemara inside. And that gave me, I must say, until this very day, it gave me, I have the regilus of the Loshem Masechta Gittin because of that.
I was in first year Beis Medrash, and my chavrusa for that year just came from Telz, and we were going to learn Psochim, and he just learned Psochim in Telz. So we started to learn together. Everyone was making a laning for like the first time, in history. And so it took them a while to get through an Amid, and we went through the Amid. I was already in Daf Dalet, and they were Daf Beis, Daf Gimel. And I went over to him and I asked him a kasha in Daf Dalet. So he said, okay, he said, when we come to Daf Dalet, you'll ask it then. And the Rashi in Daf Dalet. So I thought this was, push off, But it came to the Abdallah, it came to the Rashi, he said, Steinberg atog effect Akasha. And he stopped, and then he told me to ask the Kasha. I asked it, we had in the class a genius, an Eliyahu guy, but he had wild ideas all the time. So he sat in the back, and he would always argue with everything. He'd jump up and argue. So I told my kasha, and this fella said a teretz on the spot. So Rebbe said to me, "Enter him." So I answered him, and we had like a big machlokes in the class. And then he told me, "This machlokes is Rashi and Taisus." That's how he explained Taisus. And there were many things that he did. He showed by example and did in class that you can't duplicate it.
The famous stories with Rabban that they say he went. Rabban said his shurim is Royim, and he went to those shurim when Rabban first came, and he would ask Murder Kakash as Rabban was in the spoil from him.
One Friday afternoon, he was walking with Palm. We went to local basketball courts, and we were playing. And 2 hours later, he's walking with Rav Palm. He's still walking. What's going on? What happened was, Rav Palm lived in East New York, and Rav Shisgal lived on the east side. And so, he walked Rav Palm to the station. Rav Palm walked him back to the bus. He walked Rav Palm to the station. They went on for hours like this. Till Rav Shisgal made up shop. He'll go to the east side by the train. Otherwise, they'll still be walking.
As far as the Talmidim, he was very gentle and very accessible. I mean, the Talmidim could always talk to him.
And so when a bacha came over to him and spoke to him, he made the bacha feel like a gadol b'Yisrael. If you told him a kasha, he would fix it up for you. If you told him a teretz, he would show you, you mean this, and build you up. And because of that, he was very, very beloved, and mashpia on many, many people.
Shisgal used to travel by train. He came from the east side to Borough Park. I learned in Yeshiva Be'er Shmuel. Yeshiva Be'er Shmuel started a high school at that year, in 1962, and they needed a very chashuv rosh yeshiva, and he came, and I was not going into 9th grade. He interviewed me to see who was going to take into his class, and Baruch Hashem, I made it. And I must say something over, that as I was talking, Rav Shisgal asked me if I something came out that I saw. I was Shabbos by the Skolena Rebbe came to Borough Park for Shabbos, and he asked me about it. And then he looked at me like this. He said, "Ihr habt einmal gehört, the Skolena Rebbe zum Kriyashma? The mal gehört zum Kriyashma?" Because the Skolena Rebbe the old Skolena Rebbe, took about a half hour to say Kriyashma. He looked at me and said, "The mal gehört the Kriyashma?"
My Rebbe's personality was, he was very warm. He was very giving, big about tzedakah, and every which way.
There are many stories that I know from family that they used to have some of these Lower East Side people with problems, and not all they come up to him, and they would be there for Shabbos, etc.
He gave tzedakah like unbelievable amount. Ad kedei kach, there was a fellow sat mechosid, and he asked Rav Shisgal for tzedakah. Rav Shisgal gave him, and later on he came and gave much more to this person, and the person went back to the Satmar Rebbe and said, "This he's a Rebbe in a yeshiva. He has no money, but look what he gave me." So the Satmar Rebbe said to him, "This is tzedakah lishma. When you come to a wichtige inyan, you'll use it. Put it away." That was it. And the Maisa is that once Friday afternoon, he gave away all his money. He had no money to go on the bus. Since I was so close to him, he asked me to lend him money to go on the bus. Like this, what would he do? He'd probably walk over the bridge. He wouldn't ask anyone.
He was a tzaddik. He was so idle and so humble and didn't push himself and very serious. I mean, later on we realized why he was so serious, because he had leukemia at a young age, and then it came back. So he knew he was living with a certain machla, and that probably defined some of the things that he was.
He's been on Lamakim, he's been on Chavera, he was exemplary. He's shown out among all of the Talmidim Chachamim. He was Makar every bocha. His Yir Shemayim, it went through us, it took us all, to have a tremendous chus to have such a Rebbe, to be a Godel Batayra together, which I used to give Ein Lechamidas Tayvis, minus Tayvis, Yir Shemayim, and that remained with us at Hayem Azeh.
He should be a Melech Yeshua, his chusim, should Speistein for Klai Yisrael, should be a Melech Yeshua for Klai Yisrael, that Melech Hashem, the Gula should already come, and we should see the Shisgal and all the Gedalim, the Tchias HaMesim Be'elim.